Then we went to another church, and they got big time and got an offset press. And I threw ink all over that room. Now guess what you get to do? Push. Print. Copy. Send. Over the last few weeks, we have had more people hear me preach on the internet than have heard me preach in this pulpit combined. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And they didn't have to drive. I mean, we've got messages from every region of this country and 2 or 3 other nations of people who've been blessed by our worship service, by our singing, because God is helping us to move forward. Now, in that, we must always keep some things in mind, and this is what I want to bring us to this morning. We've got to remember the purpose of the church. We cannot lose sight of why God has ordained His church. And He has not changed His mind for His church. And I don't know that I can remember exactly the companies involved, but there were 2 companies that were head-to-head in competition in freight travel. I just noticed something. That thing got in a hurry. That wasn't the right kind of candle, you think? This one's the right kind, but if you don't mind, I don't know. 2 freight companies, both were railroad freight companies, were highly successful. Both were in a time of adjusting their purposes and their investments for the future. One of those companies is still in operation. It's still one of the largest freight companies in the world. The other one is long since gone. The reason is this. The one board sat down and said, "We are a railroad freight company." The other sat down and said, "We are a transportation company." And so they bought ships. They bought tractor trailers. They stayed with the railroad. You'll still see their signs on the rail cars. But the rail cars that you see go down to a dock and load off on a boat or a truck or a whatever. We get confused about the real purposes. Sometimes we think our purpose is a Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night schedule. Sometimes our purpose are the programs that we've had on the list for all of these years. And they have been wonderful instruments and are wonderful instruments. But our purpose is, number one, worship. We worship the Lord when we gather. It is Him that we love and adore and please. And if we can incorporate someone else to lift up the name of Jesus and sing with us, whether we can hear them or not, we have fulfilled the purpose of worship. Secondly is evangelism. We are called to take the gospel to every creature. That is the purpose of the church. We do that in these walls the best we know how. Sometimes probably not as good as we could. But we do that the best we can. But God is calling us by His